What is up, NASCAR fans? This is the NASCAR Nitro Series on the HSL Diecast Racing channel. And we're going to the Texas Motor Speedway for the Chiefs and Cowboys Suck 400. We got a special treat for you guys, a new way of qualifying. We're qualifying via drag race. We're still going to have the deck of cards to set the exact lineup, but we're going to have 2 rounds of drag racing to see who gets spots 1 through 6, 7 through 12, and so on. Let me know how you like this setup in the comments. I want to put out at least 1 video per week, and we're going to try the timer again for the next race at Le Mans. If the repairs don't work, we're going to go back to this format until a new one comes in the mail. And we have some guests here at the track. We have a couple of stars from the big game waving their Lombardi trophy around in Jerry Jones's face there. And we have a special prize here. If your car hits Jerry Jones's truck, you go automatically into the main event. And if you hit one of the Eagles players' cars, you're disqualified. It counts as an El Reco on whatever lap you're on, even if your car lands on its wheels. And the inside row is going to be set by points. We have William, our points leader and Daytona 500 winner, versus Sawyer, the only full-time driver that's missed a race and is currently last place in points due to his DNQ at Daytona. Both of these Uncle Elvis cars are pretty fast, and Sawyer only missed the race because he was the only driver to DNQ while attempting the race, and he gets a little squirrely there. The car might be a little top-heavy. He recovers. They are both in. And up next, it is Tristan Racewelski, who is second, versus Crazy Ruby, who is currently in 23rd, I believe, heading into this race. And it is a very close race. Crazy Ruby and Tristan are neck and neck heading into the turn. Tristan has about a bumper length lead over Crazy Ruby, and Crazy Ruby flips her lid. She is not going to finish this lap. She'll have to try and race her way in the final last chance duel. And up next, we have 2 different Australians on 2 different Australian teams. Jimbo Rockford in the number 11 and Crazy Ruby's teammate Coffee Tart in the 71. And they're keeping it close. Jimbo Rockford gets a bumper length lead over Coffee Tart coming out of the gate, but Jimbo's got a longer car. He might get that bumper length lead, has that advantage. Coffee Tart is keeping it close, gets a little bit of a jump out of the turn and gets squirrely. Finishes the lap, though, unlike his teammate. I mean, her teammate. I just learned Coffee Tart was a girl in Lord Shank's last video. And now it's time for Richie in the number 44 car versus Morgan Shepherd in the 21. We have Puffs Racing versus Mark Racell, and looks like Morgan Shepherd is pulling away from Richie here. He's got a 3 or 4 car length lead before they get into the turn. Richie gets a little topsy-turvy but manages to recover, and both of them will be racing. And now the winners move on to a winner's bracket. The losers move on to a loser's bracket, where they will race to see their exact range of starting spots. And N Count gets a pretty big lead over Vinny, Nightlife. Vinny, who's had quite a bit of bad luck this year, falls further and further behind as N Count pulls away with this one. And up next, we have Johnson Jr. versus Riot Isaac. Or no, that's not Riot Isaac, that's Normal Isaac. I swear I'll get this right by the end of the year. And the gates are down. Riot Isaac gets a little squirrely but recovers nicely. He's got a car length lead over Isaac, and it's not even the bottom of the split track yet. Johnson Jr. heads into the turn with a track segment lead over Isaac, and Isaac does not have a bad car. Johnson Jr. is just having the day of his life today. Both of them are going to definitely get into the show, but Johnson Jr. made a statement with that lap. Now up next is Baby Richie in the 42 and Clyde in the number 94, one of the 2 McDonald's twins. And they are neck and neck heading out of the gate. Clyde gets a bit of an advantage on the outside over Baby Richie, and that expands to a 2 car length lead heading into the turns. Baby Richie gets a little bit of momentum back, but he will be starting towards the back of the race. And up next is Lex Luthor and Rusty Wallace. Joker and Lex Luthor are splitting that ride for the 2025 season. And Rusty Wallace gets off to a car length lead before they even get off of the first segment of track. And speaking on segments of the track, he's opened up a full track segment lead heading into the turn. And he almost crashes. He almost ruins his good run, but he recovers, finishes the lap. And it looks like Lex Luthor can't actually finish the lap. Of course, Lex Luthor splitting the ride with the Joker because those are bad guys, and I'm pretty sure the Joker's in jail this week. But he'll be out in time for the 24 laps of Le Mans. Now this section is going to have Skeeter Davis in the number 80 for Po' Boy Racing and Rowan in the number 7 for Uncle Elvis Racing. two of the big heavy hitter teams, and Rowan gets a little iffy coming out of the turn but manages to save it. Both have good laps. And up next is Texas Terry in the blue 94, not to be confused for William or Clyde. And Skeeter Davis's teammate Gator McCluskey in the number 91 Spam Monte Carlo. A driver in that casting is currently lighting up the Lord Shank Racing Series on fire, but Gator McCluskey is not so lucky. He bins it coming out of the turn, and he'll have to race his way in the second chance qualifier. Now up next is Riot Isaac, as well as Nessa Force for the Barora Bangers. Nessa Force gets a jump on Riot Isaac coming out of the gate, opens up a 3-car length lead heading into the turns. Nessa Force is running away with this, and it's an El Recco. Nessa Force is on her roof, and now she's going to have to race her way in the last chance qualifiers as well. And up next is the Sloppy Bear Racing teammate of Pantone in the 18 and Violet in the number 43. Pantone, of course, representing Gen 7 with his Charlotte Roval-themed Toyota Camry, and Violet channeling back to the old Moonshiner days with that 1948 Ford Coupe. And Pantone has quite an advantage over his teammate, despite Violet's weight advantage. And it looks like Violet's catching up a bit on the split track, but it might be too little too late, and Pantone wins the final drag race in the first round of qualifying. And now here's some drag races between the field fillers. Your 2024 champion Ross Chastain takes the first one over his old rival Ricky Craven. Here's some more field fillers drag racing, and looks like Tyler Bloodfish takes a tumble there. Jeremy Mayfield looking fast like last year. That's the number 5 car of Kyle Larson because Terry Labonte's got his own ride. Of course, there's more field filler drag races than this. I've got dozens of these cars, and it's like Rowdy Bush takes a tumble there. He won't be racing, and E. Martha will have a hard time getting in. And that's Robbie Gordon beating David Green there. David Green, a veteran of the Nitro Series. That's one of the Sodders, just beat out David Rudeman. And it's nice to see Elmo Langleyvac fix that rear axle problem. And now it's round 2 of the actual qualifying for the important drivers. We've got more Uncle Elvis teammates, Sawyer and Rowan. Rowan on the inside in the Mustang, Sawyer on the outside in the Pontiac Grand Prix. And it's a pretty close race, and Sawyer, he flips over coming out of the turn and does not manage to save himself. He'll be starting towards the back. And now it is Violet versus, I believe that is Coffee Tart. Yes, that's Coffee Tart. Coffee Tart jumps out to quite a big lead before even getting into the turn. 3, 4, 5 car length lead, almost a whole track section heading into the turn. And Coffee Tart almost flips over there, manages to save herself, but rides the rail and comes off the track at the last second, allowing Violet to pass for the victory. And up next are the Richies. Baby Richie on the inside, regular Richie on the outside. The Puffs Racing teammates both had difficult opening races, but both are still in the show. And it looks like Baby Richie has the advantage over his teammate. Yep, the number 42 should get a significantly nicer starting spot. And now it is regular Isaac, not Riot Isaac, regular Isaac versus Vinny Oonce Nightlife. And these two cars are pretty evenly matched heading into the turn. Isaac gets about a car length lead over Vinny, and he takes the lead there, should get a decent, better starting spot at least. And now it's William and Pantone. And this is now the winner's bracket. The winners of these races will be starting 1st through 6th. The losers of these next races will be starting 7th through 12th. And those starting positions will be based on a card draw, and William is just running away with this half a track lead over Pantone. He is leaving Pantone behind in the dust. Pantone finishes. And now it's time for Tristan Racewelski and a Riot Isaac in the number 43. Tristan, who has quite a bit of experience in the Lord Shank Racing Series, is off to a 5 or 6 car length lead before even getting off of the ramp. And Tristan gains even more speed heading into the turn. Riot Isaac tries up, but he's still a segment length behind, and Tristan Racewelski takes that easily. And up next, it's Texas Terry Labonte on the outside going off against Jimbo Rockford for the Barora Bangers. Jimbo Rockford jumps out to a huge lead before he even gets off of the ramp, just like Tristan Racewelski. And it will be a tall order to come back from this because Jimbo Rockford's one of the best in the business, has a win in the Lord Shank Racing Series. He locks himself into a great starting spot. And up next is Terry's teammate Morgan Shepherd in the 21 versus Skeeter Davis in the number 80. Skeeter Davis put on a show in the last race. Morgan Shepherd has the points advantage, puts him on the inside, and they are neck and neck heading into the turn. And now Skeeter Davis gets about a car length lead. They take the turn, and Morgan Shepherd gains up a lot of ground, but Skeeter Davis throws a block, and he's going to ride that block into the top 6 starting spot. And up next is End Count and Rusty Wallace. Rusty Wallace has the same casting as our champion, Ross Chastain. End Count is driving the same Ford Thunderbird casting as Lord Shank's inaugural champion, Mark Martin. This really is 2 guys in championship-level cars going at each other, and Rusty Wallace isn't going to win this. He's going to slide across on his roof. He won't be getting a decent starting spot now. Speaking of Ford Thunderbirds, here's 2 different Thunderbirds, an 80s Thunderbird for Johnson Jr. and a 90s Thunderbird, the infamous 97 Thunderbird Stalker for Clyde. And Johnson Jr. pulls ahead of Clyde in a battle of straight line speed. He's got a full car length lead heading into the turns. Clyde is catching up though. They are neck and neck heading to the finish line, and it looks like we'll have to watch this in the slow motion camera. Looks as if Clyde is trying to force Johnson Jr. off the track, but Johnson Jr. is holding his own. They are both giving it all they got. This is the best 2-car battle we've seen so far today, and Johnson Jr. gets it by just a bumper length at the line. Now here are your draws for the 2-time winners. With a King of Hearts, Jimbo Rockford draws the pole. Second place will be Tristan Racewelski. And a lot of high cards for your second round losers. Clyde gets the ace of spades. Riot Isaac and Rusty Wallace will miss out on first row starting spots, but that third place spot's not a bad place to be. Here are the rest of your lineup. And here are the field fillers that won their drag races. They're drawing cards for position. These guys are all going to be starting behind all the mail-ins except for the ones that crashed during their qualifying runs. Those guys will have to finish first or second in the last chance races. In order to get into the race, they'll be racing against field fillers that finished their qualifying laps but lost. And we have Gator McCluskey and Crazy Ruby on the front row, David Green and Ricky Craven, Ted Musgrave and Macho Man Randy Savage round out this segment. The prepped and graphited mail-in entrants are running away from the field fillers that came from the flea market. But Crazy Ruby gets a little squirrely there, recovers, and stays in second place, forces David Green and company to miss the race. And exactly 4 official entries failed to qualify during their runs. And what the heck just happened there? It looks like E. Marshall missed a shift and blew his engine. That's bad luck for David Ruderman stuck behind him. But that means Nessa Force and Jeff Fuller are going to run away with this unless one of them makes a mistake. Because Lex Luthor had such a horrible start on that lap, he is not the same driver as the Joker. The Joker took that car into the top 10. And Lex Luthor is doing nothing with it. So it looks like Gator McCluskey is going to get a slightly better starting spot than Nessa Force. And same thing with Jeff Fuller over Crazy Ruby. And here is your final starting lineup. You have Jimbo Rockford on the pole, Tristan, and your series all-time win leader Johnson Jr., End Count, and Skeeter Davis all get pretty good starting spots. The McDonald's twins are 6th and 7th. And the 2 Mark Racel cars, we have Pantone. All the puffed cars in the second row, Rusty Wallace and Coffee Tart, Vinny Nightlife. Behind them are the field fillers. You're familiar with Ross Chastain and Elmo Langley, but that's Cole Custer and Mopar Mack, Dale Jarrett, one of the Sodders, Marky Mark, Kyle Larson, Kenny Schrader and Alan Kulwicki, Clint Boyer, Jeremy Mayfield and Robbie Gordon's there. Lord Shank asked me to name a field filler after him, so I did. If you guys are cool with him racing full-time, I can do that because he's been a big supporter of this channel. Jeff Fuller's there. I highly doubt he'll win, but he's still there. And we have your guys that crashed in qualifying, made it in the last chance showdown. And this is going to be the largest field we've had on the HSL Diecast Racing Series. 38 cars. The mods race will have 36 due to the weight of the cars, and due to the guest appearance of the Eagles drivers, there will only be 2 or 3 field fillers making it in. So there you have it, 38 cars. That's 12 more than I've ever had before. This is going to be a really good show. I'll see you guys on the track. Peace out.